Years ago, I attended a track experience day that was gifted to me for my 21st birthday. Ever since then, it's left me with a taste of what would it be like to own one of these cars, and what would it take to get there. It's probably every car enthusiast's dream to have a set of keys for a supercar in their pocket and be able to just jump in and drive it anytime, anywhere, whenever they desire. And the problem with this is, we always set it as a dream to own one of these cars instead of setting it as a goal. Now on this channel we want to do things that seem crazy or actually impossible to others. So in this series, our supercar dream is going to be a supercar goal. What's the worst that can happen? As we've just explained, it's every car lover's dream to get to that supercar. So we're saying supercar. Top of the list, that is priority. Now, everyone has a dream at the top of the list, but the question is, what are we doing right now to try and achieve our dreams? If you want to be a professional football player, are you even currently playing with a football team? So you can't achieve your dream if you're not actively taking the steps to try and do it. So in this series, this is our dream. We're going to try and take the steps into owning a supercar. Now, because this is a car-based channel, we're not exactly going to be able to do it through stocks or property. We're going to have to do it through what we currently do and what we know best, cars. So how do we get to this? It's the dream, it's unachievable, it's never going to happen, but if we don't try, it never will happen. No one's going to chat the door and say, here's a Ferrari or whatever your dream car may be. It's just not going to happen. So we have to do everything and whatever it takes to achieve this dream. And to do this, to get up here, we're going to have to start down here. And the way I've got in my head right now, the only way that we can achieve this, to go from here to supercar, is to trade up, apparently. Wait. Wait. So trading up is out the window, because that's not going to work. So we're going to trade up. Now, we're trading up, right? Boop. Cut. So we're trading up. It's the only way we can see it possible. Now, recently through the channel and different avenues really, because I'm involved in cars and all the rest of it, people are now coming to me with cars and deals and, oh, I know somebody that has this, I know a car sitting here. And we actually do have, if you watch a trade up series on Netflix, like Restoration, whatever it's called, there's loads of wee strings on the board and there's loads of wee deals that can plan out. Now, the reason I've agreed to start this is because we do kind of have some strings and moving deals that could be achieved in getting to the supercar. So I do want to point out in this series, I have not written supercar up there to not achieve this. So if you've seen this thumbnail and you're laughing and you don't know me, then you should know I am the person that if I write that there, that is what we're trying to achieve. And I wouldn't really start a trade up series on YouTube if I didn't already have a way to get to there. So like I mentioned before with the strings, there is loads of deals that I have planned out that might actually get us there in this series. Some deals might fall through because of time and people don't wait and whatever, but we do maybe have a way of getting here. So we're going to see how it trades out. Now, we need a car. We need a starting car, and unfortunately I don't have one. But there has been a car sitting 2 miles from here that I've drove past every single day, and it's just recently been listed on Facebook Marketplace. I was considering chapping the fella's door, but now that I know it is actually up for sale, let's go and buy a Mini Cooper. And the car is listed for I think £900, but I'm not expecting to pay that. I need it below that, and I need it closer to the 500, as close as we can get, because we need to leave ourselves some space to spend the money on the car to then flip it, etc, etc, etc. But if we can achieve this relatively quick, I do have an Integra DC2 waiting in the, what do you call it, in the wings? Waiting in the wings. If we can do this one quick enough and flip it, I have a deal potentially sitting for an Integra DC2, which we can then flip for, I think, a Golf GTI. Then we can then, so you see where I'm going here. So we are actually looking to achieve this in this series. First things first, let's go and grab the Mini Cooper. So I've been driving past this car every day now for the last couple of months while I've been carrying out the school run. By looking at the bonnet, I did always wonder if it was a Cooper Ace and would it be up for sale. Unfortunately, it's not a Cooper Ace, but I do think it's a good little car and a good starting place for the series.
We're about to see a very rare moment, all spending money.
I can tell by his face he's trying to negotiate.
Michelle knows me too well here, because there's absolutely no way we're going to be able to hand over £900 for the car in its current condition. Right, so we have recovered the car back to the workshop. There is a few things that we're going to point out on the car that we're just going to have to overlook, because this is a cheap, quick flip, and it's not as if we're going to be respraying the whole car, because that's just going to lose all our profit, which we need for the next car. Now, he did want £900 for the car. We did manage to get it below the 500. We actually got it for 480, which I think is a pretty decent little buy, considering it's got relatively new tyres and stuff, but there is a lot obviously needing done to it, which we will do a full kind of walk around. Now, one of the issues that's actually going to need looked into a little bit more is there's a problem with the kind of indicators, which he's actually said he's narrowed down to the body control module, and he has actually provided a new body control module. So I'm hoping that that could be a quick fix, and there's nothing more that we need to do there, but time will tell. It's been sitting for a while, so it's going to need brakes all round really, we know that. But when we've got it up on the ramp, we can do a bit more checks in depth, which will show you guys how I would normally check a car for the first time. Because it was sitting in gravel and that, it was a little bit hard to get under and check, and we couldn't check for play and everything. So Darren's coming up and the tours will go all the way around the car, but I'm just going to show you a couple of things before we get stuck into the action. Right, so round this side, I just kind of wanted to come in here and show you that there's a kind of key mark here, and there's a little bit of lacquer peel here. That trims off a wee bit, it's going to need attention. But you can just see the grime build up, it's been parked for ages. So it's pretty good. I mean, overall the cars, apart from the fact that it's been sitting for a while, it is pretty good considering it's a 2005 plate and it's done 108,000 miles, which I think is obviously below average for its age. So another couple of things that is wrong with it, which you told me at the time when I bought it, it's got a leaking rocker cover gasket, so there's a bit of an oil leak there, maybe a little coolant leak as well. We know about the indicators, and obviously it doesn't have an MOT or anything, so we need to get it MOT worthy, road worthy, so it's got to meet the minimum legal requirements to be on the road, but we're obviously going to take it a step above that because we're looking to sell it on. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to go around the car, we're going to show you guys all the checks I typically do on the first time I get to see a car. Darren's here as well, so the tours are going to fire in, and then we can lay out all the parts, make a list, and just start firing in and get this thing flipped. With the car on the ramp, it's a lot easier for us to fault find. I served my apprenticeship in prepping cars for resale, and Darren is an MOT tester, so between the both of us, we've got good experience. Having the car up on the ramp makes it a lot easier for us to check for free play at the wheels, binding brakes, CV joints, ball joints, brake pipes, all that good stuff. And with the previous owner being a mechanic, it should mean it's in decent condition, but he did tell me it's been sat for over a year. With that being the case, this means we need to give the car a thorough check over and possibly a decent overhaul to get it road legal and safe for the next owner. On the back end, we found one of the wheels is sticking, so that brake is going to need further investigation. And there is some surface rust underneath, so I'm poking it with a screwdriver just to make sure everything is solid. Now we're trying to keep the cost down so that there's as much profit as possible, but also make sure the car's in the best resale condition for the new owner. Under the bonnet we've got some investigation work to carry out as well. Like I mentioned earlier, the rocker cover gasket is leaking oil and there is a coolant leak, which you can see here. The reservoir is empty, so we're having to top it up for now. This is all on our to-do list, as well as a full major service for the car since it's been off the road for so long. Just a little update on the sticking caliper here. So we removed the caliper, you can see the condition of our brakes there. Darren's working away stripping the front. The issue with the caliper is, you can see there, the rubber boot is completely short and the piston is seized. You could strip this down, push the piston out, reseal it, etc, etc, but for the quickness and stuff of this video, and to be honest I've not really got too much experience in that area, we're just going to replace the caliper. A new one is going to cost us £72. I think it's just going to be quicker than stripping away. Also noticed that hard to see in there, but the exhaust hanger is broken, so we've ordered a new kit for that as well. Michelle's away to pick up the parts while we strip, and then we're going to get cracking on and show you guys how we repair the little Mini and get it ready for sale. So we thought it was just a bulb that needed changed on the Mini. It turns out it's a lot more complicated than that, and it's also the reason why there is a body control module and an indicator stock in the boot. We've obviously left that last, having done all the work. Went to change the bulbs and it's not the bulbs. We've fitted a new battery to it because it could have been a battery issue, and to be honest it's not holding the charge anyway, so we fitted a new battery, tested that first. We swapped over the body control modules because I now wasn't sure of what body control module was the right one for the car and what one's the wrong one for the car. But there is a VIN number on one of them, so we've put the original, we've tried both, it's not the body control module. We've tested for power, so I'll show you what roughly is the problem here. We're getting a headlight on this side and not on this side. We're getting full beam on this side and not on this side. We're getting indicators on this side, absolutely zero indicators on this full side. Take you to the back, I'm sure we have brake light on this side but not on this side, and we have a running light on this side but not on this side, and obviously no indicator on that side either. So I know these cars are common for body control module issues and faults within the body control module. If you think about the faults that we're having right now and the pattern of which the bulbs aren't working, and we switch the body control module, there's no way that if we have a second-hand body control module that he's gave us, that the two of them are going to have the exact same faults. I really doubt it. They would have slight differences in the faults. Now, going back to it, we're going to have to test for power, getting to there. So we're going to have to disconnect the body control module. So I'll show you roughly what I've been doing in the engine bay to check between the two. So we have the fuse box here, and the main fuse, I've just disconnected it, but it comes in, no, there it's here. So that's the main wire from the battery into the fuse box. So we can test all the fuses in this box, which I have done with a test light as well. So we're needing power to get from here to the body control module, and then the body control module is going to send it up through all these kind of wires, etc., and power up our lights. Now, if there's no power getting to the body control module, it can't send it to here. So we're eliminating the fact that it's a body control module fault, so we're looking at a broken wire or something, or high resistance or something like that. So the way I'm going to show you guys is with this multimeter here. I don't have a wiring diagram, okay, so I've basically been tracing it that from the fuse box in the engine bay, I've been kind of following it down in, and it comes down in here, and these seem to be the same coloured wires. So I don't see any breaks in it, so we're going to test here for power. Now, I think the one that I need is that yellow and red one there, that first one, but John Sean, when I sent him a video, said the white and red one looks like a power one as well. Now I've actually jumped about here guys, and I'll explain in a minute. But I'm using this earth point here, which will also, I have been testing all these earth points, so I have been trying to, using the test light on all my fuses, especially over that side there. I've been touching my earth against there for the test, which means I'm getting good earths as well. Now, here we have the power supply coming in, and if I go to here, so I'm using the earth point. It's going to be hard with just one hand guys, right, but because I've not got the proper equipment with me today. Right, so I've earthed it there, so I'm going to the white one first, and it's giving me 12 volts. So first we test what we've got at the battery, so I have 12 volts at the battery, because if we have 11 volts at the battery, you can't expect 12 volts here. You can only get whatever your battery's providing. So we've got 12 volts at that one, so that's obviously good. Now, I have just discovered what is wrong with this car, so I'm going to show you what we think is wrong with the car. But see at this one here, the original one, the yellow one I was telling you about, the yellow and red one there, I was getting 11.84. But now, I'm only getting millivolts. See that there on the right hand side? To begin with, I was getting 11.8 volts, right? Which you would think is actually really close to the 12 volts. But, and this is where it's going to pay off, asking people for help, listening to people, trying to take in as much information and get better and try these things, don't just give up, is going to make you better in the long run. So, by speaking to John Sean, who by the way, I can't believe he's actually helping me here, so big shout out to him, because his missus is currently in labour and he's messaging me to try and help with this bulb while that's going on, so it's greatly appreciated, and that just shows the addiction to cars and stuff. But I want to get better all the time and I want to grow all the time, so I would say 11.8 volts is fine because I don't know any better. But Sean has said to me that, his real name's Sean by the way, but it gets called Sean. Sean has said that it doesn't matter if it's getting 11.8 volts, it needs to be able to carry enough power to light a bulb. So a good test he showed me is that I'm going to use a piece of wire. So I've got the wire and I've earthed it and then onto the bulb, and then I've got another wire. I'm going to just show you because it's quite hard for me. So I've got a wire I've got a bulb that I've put a wire and I've earthed it back to the battery, and then for the power supply for it, I'm going to touch the other side of the wire in against these pins, and if it lights the bulb then it's carrying the load. If it's not lighting the bulb then it's not carrying the load. So even though I have 11.8 volts there and you think that's good, it needs to be able to light the bulb. It's a little bulb test. I've never done this before, so Sean showed me, so I think if I do that and it doesn't light the bulb here, then we know what's a problem with that wire. Double check there. So I'm going into the big red one first, right? Red and yellow first. Nothing. Into the other one, it's lighting. We'll lighten up the bulb if I probe the back it. So I probe the back, it's gaining that extra juice and it's carrying through this wire and lighting the bulb. So I've got a test light in there, guys. You've seen that it's lighting it with the red and white one, which is getting 12 volts, and then when I put it in here, it is not lighting the bulb. So it's not carrying the load. So even though we were getting 11.84 there, it's not enough to light the bulb. So there must be a problem with that wire going from there back to the fuse box. So we need to look at, there's either corrosion in the wire, there's resistance in the wire. We can do a continuity test to see, in a resistance test, an ohms test, to see the resistance in the wire as to why it's not carrying the load to light the bulb. But it should be lighting the bulb. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the back of the fuse box, try and find a wire, and we'll run a continuity test. So I stupidly don't have my stand or anything down, but there, so I've took the cover off. I've just slackened off the fuse box here. You can see in there, there's actual kind of green corrosion lying in there that looks like there's some corrosion in the wires in this fuse box. So I'm going to disconnect this plug, disconnect that main supply. I have disconnected the battery already before we start messing about with this, and we're going to try and unplug this fuse box and see what's going on in there. So I think I've actually just found the problem there, guys. I've disconnected the fuse box, and while I was doing it there was more and more corrosion, and then this happened. This wire broke, and it is from there. So it's all corroded and it's ruined, and if you look at the colour of the wire, oh look. And see, to be honest with you, I thought it was this yellow and black one there to begin with, on this black plug here, there. So I tried to test it for between there, so I unplugged that first, to be honest, and I tried to test it from there, and it wasn't giving me continuity, so I just decided to pull the full fuse box out, and then I found there's another wire the same colour from there, so what we're going to do is try and test continuity from it now. So I'm hoping that a repair to this wire in the fuse box will be the holy grail to everything, and back probing the wire actually lights all the bulbs as well, so we're feeding 12 volts into the control module through the wire, and it is working, so we know there's an issue there, and we know that we need to tackle this wire first. I'm going to show you guys my way of tackling this. So I have bought a second-hand fuse box off of eBay for £25 because the person has chopped and left me all the wires. So the pin is absolutely destroyed, and I actually tried to Google it and couldn't find the right pin, so to save me messing about, I'm going to de-pin this, take this wire out, solder this end of the wire onto that end of the wire, and then use this back in the blue plug that's already in there and see if that fixes it for us. So I've just plugged it all back in, simple, straightforward, attached the main one, everything's not 100% secure. Reconnected the battery. I'm actually a little bit nervous. I'll wait. I need to plug this in first, so I'll do that first. So just plug the body control module back in. I'm just going to leave it sitting there for now. Moment of truth. I don't think it's worked. It's no. Oh. No likey. No lighty. Wow. I do have an indicator here though. Oh! Oh no way! I've got an indicator here as well. And I've got an indicator there. Wait a minute! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! Wait a minute! I stole the bulb out the front in order to use it to do our wiring. So I was using this H7 bulb as my load test bulb, and I robbed it out of this headlight, so there. Let's plug it in. Right, bulb back in, let's try this again. I think we're good. Is it? Is it? Yes! You're dancing! I don't believe it! I don't believe it! Yes! It's been so long. I have scratched my head. I've spent so many hours and hours reading forums, reading other people's problems, trying to figure this out. Huge, huge shout to John Sean. I could never have done it without him. I actually was able to start tracing the wire from here down into this side of the loom here. You can see there where I actually checked it, because I've seen it in boots and stuff before when you're opening and closing the boot and it's wearing away on the wires. So we traced it back, and that's how we found it into the body control module. But if it wasn't for John Sean telling me that even though it had 11.8 volts, it had to carry the load to light the bulb, and that is what has ultimately got me to the conclusion to find the corroded wire, which has saved this little project. That should be everything done on it now, and we can now get it road legal, MOT'd, inspected, start putting it on the road and see how much we can get back for the little Mini. So there you have it, now it's official. We will be trading up to try and achieve one of these supercars. What one we will manage to achieve, we don't know. We just have to take each day as it comes. But one thing's for sure, we know what we have ourselves in for, and the hard work is only just starting. So make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the action in this crazy series.